Hey there, teachers and students. My name is Benjamin, and this is my series covering the TExES Mathematics 7 through 12 exam for certification in TExES. This is part 2 in the section covering Competency 1, which requires teachers to understand the real number system. So, the second topic we're going to cover are the number properties. Now, we're going to talk about 5 number properties in this video. The first one being the commutative property of addition right here. Now, what you're going to see going on with the commutative property of addition, all that is saying is that when you're dealing with addition, if you have some number x plus y, that's going to be the same thing as some number y plus x. In other words, if you want a real example, what we can do is we can say that 6 plus 8 is equal to 14, and at the same time, 8 plus 6 should always equal the same thing, which in this case is 14. And that's all there is to know about the commutative property of addition. The hardest part about this topic is remembering the name commutative property of addition, because if a problem is asking you to show what which answer choice shows the commutative property of addition, you have to be able to pick which one that is. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the commutative property of multiplication, and you'll see very quickly that it is basically the exact same thing here with x times y is equal to y times x. And all that's saying is that if you have some number, let's say 2 times 4, that will give you, of course, 8. And that's always going to be the same as 4 times 2. Should still give you 8. Awesome. So that's commutative property. It's the same for addition and multiplication. Let's move on to one that is slightly more tricky, or at least a little bit more complex. We have the associative property of addition. And what that's saying is that if you have some expression, just like we have an expression here on the left side of this equation, if you have some expression that has a group in it, in other words, if you have some maybe parentheses, what you can do is you can actually exchange some of the terms that are inside of that group with terms that are outside of that group with addition, and you will still get the exact same thing. So let me give you a real world example here. Let's say you have 2 plus the quantity of some group 4 plus 3, okay? That's going to be equal to the exact same thing as if we were to maybe substitute 2 in for 4 or 3 and pull out the 4 or 3. Let me see if I can give an example really quick. 4 plus 2 plus 3. Notice how we switched the 4 and the 2. And so we still have a group, and we're going to be adding the quantity of that group to 4. We're going to get the exact same number as the group 4 plus 3, and then adding the quantity 2 to it. So what, of course, is this? 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 2, that should give us 9. And then 2 plus 3, which is 5, plus 4 should give us 9. This is the associative property of addition, and you're going to see really quickly that multiplication follows a very similar rule. So if I was going to take some equation that had 2 expressions of multiplication only, then what I can do is I can exchange parts of groups with parts that are outside of the group, and let's see if we can use real numbers to show this as well. We can go ahead and use the exact same numbers just for simplicity. 2 times the quantity 4 times 3, all right? That's going to be equal to 4 times the quantity 2 times 3, all right? So 4 times 3, of course, is 12. Times 2 is going to be equal to 24. All right, awesome. Let's see if we can replicate that here. I'll change the color really quick. 2 times 3 is 6. Times 4 times 6 is equal to 24. And you'll notice that we got the exact same thing when we simplified both expressions. That proves the associative property of multiplication. In other words, all that means is that if all you're doing is multiplying, then it doesn't matter what order you multiply in. You're going to get the exact same answer, this exact same solution, if you multiply in any order. Now, the last property that I want to discuss is the distributive property of multiplication over addition. And what that means is that if you have some group using only addition, but then you are going to be multiplying that group by some number, then that's going to be the same thing as multiplying each term in that group by the number. And you'll see here it's the group y plus z times x. Well, that's the same thing as y times x and z times x. So let's see if we can show that using real numbers. Let's say I have 2, let's change to red really quick, 2 times the group 4 plus 3. And what I'm going to be saying is that that's the same thing as 2 times 4 plus 2 times 3. This is called the distributive property of multiplication over addition. All right, so let's double check to make sure that these simplify to the exact same number. 4 plus 3 is, of course, 7. And if we multiply 2 times 7, what we get is 14. All right, let's see if that checks out on the other side. 2 times 4 is, of course, 8. We're going to add that to 2 times 3, which is 6. 8 plus 6, really quick arithmetic, is equal to 14. And that checks out. So this proves, of course, the distributive property of multiplication over addition. All right, so those are the 5 most important topics that I want to cover, and that's all for this topic specifically. If you have any questions or need further practice, don't hesitate to get in touch with me via the email address listed below. Also, smash the like button for me if you don't mind, but more importantly, share this resource with other teachers who might need it. I'll see you in the next one.